going on YouTube? RDAP Dan here. Today I'm going to be throwing together a little recipe here that you guys can do at home. And this recipe is actually intended for my really good friend Mr. Joe Alardi, who has a highly allergic reaction to gluten. So today I'm going to make some bacon and egg biscuits, and you can put whatever you want in the eggs. So I'm going to show you how I do them, and this is what they're going to look like when they're done. So there you go. Stay tuned for the rest of my show. RDAP Dan. So over here we have all of our ingredients. So if you guys come on over, I'll show you what we're going to be using to make this neat little dish. This is the first time I've tried it using cauliflower versus bread. So we're going to see how this turns out. Alright, stay tuned. Alright, so as you can see, we've got a few different things going on here. We've got a muffin pan, which we're not going to be using right now. We've got bacon, which is definitely going to be used. You need as many slices of bacon as you have biscuits. So we have six biscuits, so we have 6 slices of bacon. 1 head of cauliflower, which will probably make somewhere right around 2 cups of the grated cauliflower. When you grate your cauliflower, you can either use a cheese grater or you can use like a food processor. I'm going to use a food processor because I'm too lazy. Onion, green pepper, garlic, mushrooms, tomatoes, eggs, and I've got 2 different cheeses. You want a hard cheese that you're going to use for your cauliflower, making the crust, and I'll show you how that kind of happens in a few minutes. The other cheese is just going to be for flavor. You don't have to use cheese. That's going to be added in, and then you get your tomatoes and eggs and all that fun stuff. So come back in a minute and we're going to show you this stuff kind of mixed up, chopped up, and we'll show you the different steps. And you can use as little onion or as much onion. There's really no magic recipe to this. Really, it's for 2 cups of cauliflower, you're going to want to use 1 egg. So we'll be right back and I'll show you how that works. Alright, so we're back. So I've already cut up the cauliflower, just chopped it up to little chunks, about that big. Just use a regular knife, cut it up. A lot of people don't want to eat any of the stock or anything, but it's all going to get processed and you're not going to notice a difference. So I've got my food processor here. It's a tiny one, so it takes a couple times to do all of this. So if you guys have a bigger food processor, you can probably leave bigger chunks, and you can do it all in one sitting. So we're just going to take a little bit of the cauliflower, we're going to throw it into the food processor. And then process some of the cauliflower up. And as you can see, grades up pretty quick. Then you're just going to dump your cauliflower into a dish, a microwave bowl that you can put in the microwave. It's important, so don't use metal because you got to be able to stick it in the microwave. And then you're just going to do this until the cauliflower that you have here is all blended up. So I'm not going to torture you guys with all of this. I'll come back once this part is finished. Alright, now that we have our cauliflower all ground up, a lot of people like to call this cauliflower rice in the world of the cauliflower fanatics. So we've got our cauliflower flour, cauliflower rice, whatever you want to call it. I've got exactly 2 cups in here. Didn't use the whole head of the cauliflower. I've got the rest put away in a separate little Tupperware. But for what we're doing, you're not really going to need more than this. If you were going to make a cauliflower pizza, you might want to make a giant pizza and you use the whole cauliflower. So the next step that we're going to do is, there's a couple of different ways to do this. I'm lazy, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this in the microwave just like this for about 8 minutes. And the purpose of that is to try to get a lot of the moisture out of the cauliflower, because when you cook it to make the original dough that we're going to make with this, you don't want it to be super wet and flimsy. So the more dry you make this right now, the less flimsy it will be, and it'll have a firmer, actual crust-like feel to it. So we're gonna go stick it in the microwave. Let's go over to the microwave. Okay, so here we are. Go ahead and stick it in the microwave. For the 2 cups that we're using, I'm gonna go ahead and put this in for about 8 minutes. So we're just gonna let that cook for the next few minutes. Now, while that's going on in the microwave, you got your cauliflower cooking to get a lot of the water out of it. Now we're gonna go ahead and start preparing the veggies, which we're gonna saute a little bit. That's gonna go into the product once it's ready to go into the oven. So this whole process, if you just follow along with me, you shouldn't be too confused, and it should make some sense. Make sure you've preheated your oven to about 400 degrees ahead of time. So go ahead, and if you haven't done it yet, go ahead and turn your oven on, start getting it heated up to about 400 degrees. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and get our veggies ready, and you can use whatever veggies you like. You can add meat to it, whatever you want to add to it, make it your own. This is just my fun little creation. So let me show you what veggies I'm going to put in mine. So I like a lot of garlic in pretty much everything I do. So I've got a whole head of garlic here. I'm not going to use the whole head, but I'm definitely going to use a nice portion of this for myself. So about 3 cloves of garlic is what I plan on putting in there. It's one thing we didn't have at the prison I was at in Coleman, Florida, was we did not have garlic cloves. We had garlic salt, but no luck with actual real raw garlic, which I really enjoy, and I missed it a lot. There were a couple of spots that actually had real garlic that people brought with them from other prisons. Man, when they cook something in the microwave with the garlic, boy oh boy, whole freaking unit filled up with the aroma of garlic, which some people hated, but for people like me, absolutely freaking amazing. So I'm just going to chop up my garlic. A lot of you are making fun of my chopping job right now. So there's your garlic. I'm going to add a green pepper. There you have your green pepper. Got 1 red onion. Probably can use about half of the red onion. There you have your onion. Use some mushrooms, just regular white mushrooms. Just going to chop them up just a little bit. I like my mushrooms to be kind of chunky. I like to taste them. I'm a big fan of pretty much all of these vegetables you're seeing right here. I put these in a lot of different things that I make. So that about does it for my veggies. Now we're going to go back and check on the cauliflower. I heard the microwave beeping, so let's go back and see how that's looking. Okay, so here we have our cauliflower. If you're using a glass bowl, it's definitely going to be pretty hot. So it definitely looks finished. So be careful when you're taking that out. You don't want to burn the crap out of your hands. Like that, it's pretty hot. So our cauliflower rice looks pretty done. We're going to let it cool down now before we do anything else to it. So we'll come back in a minute. Cauliflower rice will be nice and cool. Cauliflower flour, say that 5 times fast, whatever you want to call it. And I'll show you the next step. See you in a minute. All right, so we're back. So cauliflower is nice and cooled down. I let it sit out for about 35-40 minutes. Nice cool temperature. I've got my shaved Parmesan cheese here, which is basically, it comes in pretty big flakes. You don't want to use a wet cheese for this. So the harder the cheese and the drier it is, the better the outcome is going to be. So I've basically taken the cheese and I just chopped it up a little bit just so it mixes in a little bit better. And then we're going to go ahead, and it's about a cup of cheese in here, and we're going to add it to our 2 cups of cauliflower flour or cauliflower rice, whatever you want to call it. Alright, so we got that in there. We're going to go ahead and add 2 eggs. And then from that point, it's pretty much finished as far as what kind of needs to be added to it for it to form kind of like a crust. But if you like, you can add yourself a little bit of salt and pepper and whatever other spices you like to add in there. So I'm putting some salt and pepper. Salt definitely, for me, adds to the flavor of almost anything when you're cooking it. So just add some generous salt, then a little bit of garlic powder. Not garlic salt, but garlic powder. That's really it. And just mix it up. From there, you want to get your cookie sheet, and you're going to use parchment paper. I've tried to do this without parchment paper, making the actual crust before for cauliflower pizza. And if you don't use parchment paper, it's going to stick a little bit because remember, you've got cheese in here. So when cheese heats up in the oven, it tends to stick, and it's a lot harder to get off of there in one piece. Parchment paper, it comes right off. So I definitely recommend, if you don't have some parchment paper, take a minute, run to the store and get some parchment paper. It's in the same aisles like your tin foil and saran wrap and all that fun stuff. Alright, so from there, you've got your mix. It's all mixed in together. Doesn't really look like much, but it's pretty much cauliflower, so I don't know what you'd expect it to look like. You're just going to go ahead and throw it right into the center. And then you're just going to form it just like you would pizza crust. And since we're not making a pizza, the shape of it's not super important. You just want it kind of flat. Alright, so we're going to put that in the oven for about 25-30 minutes, and then we'll come back and check on it. Okay, so while we have our cauliflower crust in the oven cooking, now's a good time to go ahead and start getting all of your veggies and everything sauteed up. That's going to go into this mix as we get a little bit closer. So I've got my heat here for my veggies at about, it's a medium-high heat. I've got it on the setting number 7. I've had this heated up now for about 4 or 5 minutes, so it's definitely nice and hot. You want to get this hot before you add anything to it, or else it's not really going to cook and saute the right way. So we're going to add some olive oil. And it should only take a second for your olive oil to get nice and hot. First thing we're going to throw in here, and you definitely don't want your olive oil to turn brown, so you want to keep an eye on it. You don't want to burn it. First thing we're going to throw in is we're going to throw in the garlic I have prepared. This is my favorite part because it smells so freaking good. Alright, so you got your garlic in here. Just let it saute just for a short amount of time. Again, you don't want to You don't want to burn your garlic either. You don't want it to start changing colors on you. Okay, now we're going to add our veggies. This is basically the green peppers, the onions, and the mushrooms. See how good that looks? Wish you guys could smell that. So you're just going to saute this so everything softens up a little bit. While you've got your veggies going over here, you've got your bacon going over here on a nice medium-low heat. For me, the trick to cooking the bacon properly so it doesn't splatter everywhere is you cook it on a low heat. It takes a little bit longer, but you don't get all that popping and bacon grease going everywhere. Now, you don't want to cook your bacon all the way. You don't want it to be crispy. You want it to be where it's flexible, so you want like a medium cooked bacon, because we're going to be using the bacon. They're going to go into the muffin pans and it's going to circle around the muffin pan. So you want to be able to mold your bacon, so keep an eye on it. Alright, as you can see, the veggies are cooking up nice. Nothing's getting burned in there. Cooking at a nice slow pace. Your bacon, definitely want to keep an eye on your bacon. Depending on what kind of pan you have, what kind of stove you have, certain parts of your skillet might cook a little faster than others. Like this piece right here, I'm going to say is done for now. Okay, so here you have your semi-cooked bacon. And we'll go ahead and pat some of the grease off of it there. Alright, so that's about the consistency of the bacon. You want it nice and flimsy. Veggies are done. Now, we've got about 8 more minutes until the cauliflower pizza crust is done. So we'll come back and check as soon as we pull that out, and then we'll go to the next step. Okay, so it's been about 25 minutes for the cauliflower crust. So let's go ahead and pull that out. And this is what you get. Alright, so this is basically the way the crust is going to come out looking. As you can see, it's pretty firm. It's cooked on both sides, came out really nice. Now what you're going to do is, I've already greased up my pan here. All I did was give it a little shot with some canola cooking spray. So now, depending on the size of the inside of your pan, basically this happens to be a perfect size for what I'm going to use. I'm going to use the lid of my canola cooking spray, and we're going to cut out circles. So we want 6 of them. Alright, so now you're going to take your little round circles and you're going to stick it right in the bottom of the pan, like so. Alright, so it should look like that once you get them in there. Then what you're going to do is you're going to move your pizza crust. I keep calling it pizza crust. We're not making pizza, so I guess I shouldn't be calling it pizza crust today. Going to move that out of the way. You're going to bring over your bacon. And real simply, you are going to line around the edge with the bacon. I think you guys can probably see where this is going. I've never done this before with this type of crust. I've always used like just slices of bread, but I've been trying to do a little less of the gluten lately. And for my good buddy Joe out there, Joe Alardi, who has a gluten allergy, I thought this would be kind of neat to give him an idea of something he can do that he can eat that's not going to be causing him to flare up with his crazy gluten allergies. Okay, so now we got everything ready. In this bowl, I just have 3 eggs beaten up. Didn't really have to show you guys how to do that. I'm sure you know how to beat up an egg. And 3 eggs beaten up, and I added some salt, pepper. Of course, I added a little bit of garlic, so I love my garlic, and I put a little bit of red crushed pepper flakes in there, just like the kind you get from the store. I like a little bit of spice. So we're just going to go ahead and hopefully 3 eggs is enough, but we'll see. And we're just going to dump this right into the middle. You might need a couple more eggs, because it looks like 3 eggs did 2 of them. I mean, 4 of them. So I'll come back and do those 2 in a minute. But we'll finish up this part first. And my pizza dough over here, my pizza crust, I've been picking at and eating it. This is amazing. So you're going to take your cooked veggies, put them right into your eggs. A little bit of tomato on there. If you like tomato, that is, which I do. I love tomatoes. Okay, so that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up the other 2, and then we're going to throw it back in the oven. All right, see you in a minute. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and stick it back in the oven. Should take about maybe 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes at the most, and we'll see the final product. Tell me what you guys think. Alright guys, so here you have it. I took it out of the oven about maybe 5 minutes ago to let it cool down a little bit. Kind of show you guys how this came out. I think it looks pretty freaking good. So let's see if it's cool enough to get out of here. And this is the first time I have done it with cauliflower bread or rice or pizza crust, whatever you want to call it. So I'm not sure how the cauliflower is going to hold onto the bottom of this. Let's see if we can get it out here with a spoon. Comes out pretty easy actually. Oh, look at that. Well, there you have it. You got your cauliflower. They make nice little easy grabbable snacks. You can throw these in a Tupperware. You can pop them in the oven, pop them in the microwave, eat them cold. Still a little bit hot. Put some hot sauce on there if you like, whatever you like to do with it. And that's pretty much it. So that's RDAP Dan's bacon, egg, muffin thing, scrambled eggs. So yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed making them, and I'm definitely going to enjoy eating it.